Live from Brooklyn, sorta. More on that in a bit. It's Ask an Engineer.
Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Engineer. It's me, Ladyada, the engineer. With me, Mr. Ladyada, on camera video control, making sure the audio goes into the right routed location so you can hear and see us.
And that we have the official OCP 2025 graphics ready to go. That's what it reminds me of.
Okay.
From RoboCop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm still trying to make sure I mentioned something about RoboCop.
Every day.
Every day in some way.
You're hitting it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay. So for the folks that are watching, so this is recorded right now, even though you might see a live thing, because we needed to record it and then have it broadcast live so we can answer questions in the chat because we had some childcare scheduling stuff. So instead of not doing a show at all, we said, we'll just record. And if it all works out, we don't have to go do anything with kiddo, or even if we do, we can hit pause.
Yeah, and you would never know.
And you'd never know.
Because we would just rewind.
Right. And then we would, do the show.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this, we're in the chat, and it's only like 15, 20 minutes difference.
It's basically the same as live.
Essentially the same. Most people watch it.
You won't see our mouths answer question. We'll type them. We'll type.
Yeah. So anyways, that's why it's a little different.
They'll different.
Anyways, but we still have discount codes.
We're going to get to everything.
We're still going to do the same types of things.
Stuff.
Yeah. Anyways.
Thank you for bearing with us.
That's right. Okay. Let's just kick it off.
Kick it.
The code is spring, 10% off in the
Spring
Adafruit
has
store.
sprung.
Yeah, we're going to go see some cherry blossoms in the Brooklyn Botanical Garden.
Heck yeah.
There's 14 of them, but 10% is how much you're going to save. Code spring, 10% off, all the way up to 11:59 p.m. tonight. We got JP's product pick of the week highlight. We're going to talk about some open source hardware, including some Learn system guides and more. 3D printing videos and speed up. We got Eye on MPI. That's brought to you by DigiKey. This week it is Bulgin, and we will talk about their products. Ladyada will talk about some new products. We've got a little bit of top secret, some behind the scenes with some design stuff we're doing, and then some questions that we had loaded up. But again, we'll answer the ones that are in the chat live. And then part of that will be Tariff Talk. So folks had said, hey, do you have any updates? And I said, I'll just put it part of the questions. Anyways, put your stuff up in Discord. By stuff, I mean questions. Adafruit.it/Discord, and we're going to go at it.
Yep.
Like I said, the code is spring. We have some free stuff.
We still have free stuff.
Yeah.
Free shipping.
And then same day, not free, but if you're in New York, do check it out before 11 a.m. And then JP's product pick of the week. Every single Tuesday, you can watch a video live from the product page. The discount's automatically applied. JP, take away this week's highlight.
That's the product pick of the week this week. It's the Terminal Pico Bell with pre-soldered headers. These are terrific for prototyping plug and play with a Pico. The Pico 2, which is the RP2040 and the RP2350. It has mounting holes, so you can screw that down to your project. Yay. It has 40 terminals, little screw terminals, which break out every pin. We have a STEMMA QT I2C/Quick connector there, so you can plug in all kinds of peripherals. Maybe a puzzle box, maybe a control panel for some software, something like that. And you can see there is a neat little set of 3x3 wires. The I2C, by the way, is what's plugged into my little matrix display. And there is a Pico 2W, which comes with those nice pre-soldered headers. That's the product pick of the week this week. It is the Terminal Pico Bell with pre-soldered headers, STEMMA QT, and reset button.
And check out JP's workshop on Thursdays. That might be today, wherever you are, or it could have been yesterday. It could have been next week. Who knows? Check your calendar. Look at this constellations. See what year it is. Ask around. Okay, 3D Hangouts is on Wednesday with Noam and Pedro. You can see some projects. We're going to show some of those this week. And then this week is a very special deep dive with Scott on Friday.
Mm-hmm. This is the last one before he goes on extended parental leave. He will probably not be doing another live broadcast for like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
So if you want to see Scott, give him kudos, tell him how much you love deep dive. This is the Friday to go. And we'll have Tim doing his own deep dives.
Yeah, Tim's been alternating and doing it. So anyways, stop by, say hi to Scott, and Scott will be back later on in the year. Okay, let's do some open source hardware updates and more. We have some Learn guides in Learn System Ladyada, what's new on the big board this week?
Okay, we got like 2 guides. Well, 3 guides. I think we made JP's Feather Guitar Hero adapter with an LED like NeoPixel strap that went live. It's using some open source firmware that you can load onto our USB Feather, and it'll let you use these USB controllers with, I think it's old controllers with modern game systems. So if you have like one of those old style Xbox 360 Guitar Hero guitars or drum sets or xylophones, I don't know what they played, you can now play them on modern game systems. And then Tim C wrote up a guide on using USB game controllers. This is like one we put in the shop, and people are like, well, how do I integrate this with CircuitPython or Arduino if I want to read the commands and use it to control something? So Tim and Liz also helped out, I think, a little bit on writing that guide. And then this kind of cool AI-assisted 3D printed figurine tutorial. It's a really complicated process, and you'll see the video. But I just like documenting, like, this is the state of the art right now if you want to generate figurines and 3D print like multicolor designs on a modern 3D printer. I can't wait for 10 years from now when we say like, wow, that was ridiculous. I can't believe we did all that work.
There's an interesting intersection between what's going on right now in like 3D printing, culturally what AI is for some people, and then technically what it can do and what it can't do.
Yeah.
And then a lot of unknown decisions that'll happen in like courts one day with how some of the generative AI was created, who, what, when, where. So I think one of the interesting things is, like you were saying, this is all very cutting edge. It's like, this is a multicolor bamboo printer.
Like half of the products and services probably won't exist in like 3 months. They'll be out of business, but that's why it's so fun.
Yeah, it's bleeding edge.
Yeah.
They're going to spend all that. And then on the AI side, there's lots of people kind of like putting different front ends on a lot of these frontier models that can do lots of interesting things. Mm-hmm. And what this project was, and I'm not going to end up arguing on like Blue Sky, but there is like, these tools are so great, you have to use them. And if you don't, you're a dinosaur and you're an idiot. And the other one is like, don't use AI at all. It's slop.
Yeah.
Stolen from everyone. So like it or not, young people in particular are going to be told that you have to learn AI tools. In fact, there's a executive order that may or may not, it's in draft, it may or may not be curriculum that has to be teaching kids AI in schools. So our idea is, let's continue to have some project-based things that brings in things like electronics, things like 3D printing, and learning about your digital rights.
Like how to do stuff that isn't just cheating on your homework.
Yeah, that is like a startup now. It's like cheat everything. And so I think that this in particular is a good example of, hey, don't be, gatekeepy, because young people in particular are going to come into technology and they're going to decide who do they want to join. It is people a lot of the times. And are you saying, hey, come and let's do some cool stuff, but let me teach you like how to make sure you own your digital rights, and you have ways to make tools, and you have ways to use these digital tools, and you know what's going on inside your phone and all that? Or is it going to be, you're doing it wrong, you're stealing from everyone, all that cool stuff you see, don't do it. And there's nothing, but don't do anything else.
Yeah.
Just join us in complaining and being mean to people on social media. So I think you have to just make sure you're building something that entices people if you're going to pull them away from learning about these things in a project-based way from someone like Adafruit. Like, it's our likenesses.
Yeah.
And it's like, when we do things, we credit if we're using an AI tool. I think that there is a way forward where we're working with these tools and we're not finding further divisions between people. I don't know. So it's a cool thing. We've gotten ourselves like scanned in a big 3D printed thing. And I was curious how this would work out. It's a very interesting thing. It's a nice gift too. What you could do is just like Build-A-Bear sort of style.
Yeah.
You could just tell it about things, and then it makes a figurine with things you like, and you can then now make it for real.
Okay.
Okay.
Speaking of.
Let's do some 3D printing. We'll show that project, and then we'll do a speed up. And then we'll see you on the other side with some Ion NPI.
You can make your own custom figures with AI-generated models and multicolor 3D printing. We were able to make a full-color figurine of Ladyada featuring her iconic pink hair, black clothing, and glasses. We also made PT, aka Mr. Ladyada, to make this project a complete set. The model of our 3D printed figurine was generated using a single photo that we made with the text-to-image online tool. This is a trend that we noticed of folks creating action figures of themselves with complete box art and accessories. You can use ChatGPT to generate an image describing the look, style, clothing, and accessories. We made additional prompts to refine the image, making it more of a 3D render and less of a 2D illustration. We also didn't want our figure to hold any of the accessories so that our model would be better for 3D printing. Masterpiece X is an easy-to-use website for making AI-generated 3D models. Their Image to 3D tool can turn your images into a fully textured 3D model. You can make a free account on their website and get free credits to create a few of your own models. Just upload your image and get a preview of a fully textured 3D model that you can download for free. We imported the model into Blender, an open-source 3D modeling software. Here we can smooth out any artifacts and do minor touch-ups. Once we're happy with our mesh, we brought it into the Bamboo Lab Studio app. Here, you can use the color painting tools to colorize the model. Just add your filament colors and use the fill bucket tool to color various elements of the model. Additional tree supports with an outer brim can offer the best printing quality, especially with those overhanging details. We customize our slice settings to reduce the amount of waste by lowering the purge amount and the size of the purge tower. This takes roughly around 15 to 17 hours to 3D print. We think this process will only get easier over time, but it's good to know these tips and techniques for making a successful model that is optimized for 3D printing.
Don't forget to go to spring. Let's kick it off with some Ion NPI.
On NPI.
Ion NPI brought to you by DigiKey. Thanks so much, DigiKey. This week it is both Jen and Infinity brand, Ladyada. Tell me, what is this week's new product introduction? NPI. New product introduction. What is it?
Okay, thank you for spelling it out.
What is it?
We haven't done Belgian yet, so I'm excited. I always like to see new companies, and this popped up. And what I thought was neat is this is a range of battery holders, and I like that they were all but like a couple are panel mount, which is great if you're creating a design that uses an off-the-shelf enclosure that doesn't necessarily have battery case, or you're modifying something that exists. You want to add batteries to it. They come in a wide range. I'll show all the variations of different, the one on the very left is internal mount only. It's got these nice strong clips. I think the factory is in Tunisia. The middle one is a tube panel mount. So you'll drill a hole and you can put in the batteries by popping open the top. And the one on the right is a rectangular one. That's actually the one I got a sample of. It's not watertight, but it's fairly dustproof. And you don't need any tools or a screwdriver to open it up. And so these are very user-friendly for replacing batteries in the field. Normally when we talk about people making portable products, we recommend using a lithium polymer battery, lithium-ion battery like these that DigiKey stocks. And these are great. They're fairly low cost. They're easy to charge. You need a charging circuit, but you can charge it over USB. They have very good energy density, but they're not very user-friendly. Like usually to protect them because they can get damaged and then they can, melt or cause a fire. They are kind of tucked in a safe part of the enclosure. You have to make sure they don't get too hot, not too cold. Definitely don't want them to get punctured or damaged. And they last a couple cycles, but you have to recharge them through the USB. You can't swap them in and out easily. Recharging takes about an hour or so, and so you can't like quick swap in a new power supply if you wanted to. And most importantly, there is limitations on how you can transport them. With UPS or any air transport, you have to label and package it correctly because of that risk of damage. And so, once in a while, we just tell people, like, especially with kids' toys, because you have a lot of kids' toys now, a lot of them use AA's or AAA's, alkaline batteries, because they're very safe. They take, they can take a lot of abuse, and at worst, maybe they leak acid, but that takes many years usually of it being left in a device. And still, that cleans up fairly easily. You can buy alkaline batteries, in any store. They're inexpensive. They're very high energy density. And if you're worried about waste, you can always get nickel metal hydride batteries that are available in the universal standard, right? Like outlet plugs may vary from country to country, but a AA is a AA, a 9-volt is a 9-volt, anywhere in the world. And no matter where you are in the world, you don't have to worry about it. You're going to get the right voltage and about the same current capability. So for that reason, we kind of like these battery holders, because once in a while we tell people, like, look, if you want something that's user replaceable, that you don't have to depend on having a USB or an outlet, you can carry spare batteries. They tend to have low discharge. AAA batteries are tiny. D-cell batteries are, whatever, huge. They have like 20,000 milliamp hours. They're massive. You can get rechargeables, you can get alkalines. They're very user-friendly. And these battery cases, there's a variety of them for all the different sizes, from single 9-volt to 4 AAA to 3 C batteries. What I kind of like about them, like I said, is that they're panel mounted, which makes them very easy for users to swap out the batteries. They don't need any special tools. You don't need any special expertise. And they also they're a little bit more expensive, but they have IP67 ones. So you're sending out your equipment into the field where it's going to be used in a very dirty, wet, dusty, environment. IP67 is going to be, gasketed, fully waterproof, fully weatherproof. It's user serviceable and it's protected from the environment. So these are especially, I think, if you are in a situation where you're like, look, I have to get something where it's going to get rained on, it's going to be outside, it's going to be muddy, it's going to be dirty. Dealing with a lithium-ion battery might not be good, especially if there's a lot of temperature variation and there's risk of crushing. These battery holders will definitely do the job for you. And like, I love that they're, you just twist them off with your hand, no special tools needed.
Nice.
Okay, and these are in stock. All the varieties, I highlighted this 9-volt. You can show it on the overhead. What I like about these is they're very nice, thick plastic, very durable. So this one, it even has the instructions written on it. You lift. This is not the IP67 one, obviously. This is a 9-volt. There's a little spring to protect it. It tells you how to insert it. There's contacts, and then on the other side, there's solder lugs that you can attach to. This is the, I think, 4 AA. Likewise, no special tools required. You just have to pinch this. It's hard when it's not actually mounted to something. Well, believe me, you can pop this out if you have stronger hands than me. And also you have the solder lugs on the back. Do you want maybe you can try to,
What do you want me to do?
pinch those two sides together.
This side and then this side at
Yeah,
the same time?
time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. You can do it.
This is a nice design.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I like that it's possible, but it's not easy.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So Phil's got slightly stronger fingers than me. But I like these nice, strong clips here. The battery indication of how you mount it, and then, yeah, you can slot it back in. And so the IP67 ones, they have a gasket and they're round. So they're I think, a little easier to open. But they're also, tubular and longer. Anyways, that's just some demos of the battery holders I liked.
Okay, and we have a short video. Enjoy this Ion NPI special video.
Manufactured from quality moulding and metal components to ensure a secure and reliable connection, Bulgin's battery holder range caters for battery sizes AAA, R03, AA, R6, C, R14, D, R20 and PP3, 6R61, accommodating 1, 2, 3 or 4 cells.
On NPI.
Okay, don't forget the code is spring. Ladyada, it's time for... We're going into the thing to stop the thing with the stuff and the guy and the secret code.
Yeah.
The hackers. It's new product time.
Right.
New. Okay.
Okay, we've got a couple new products. You'll notice that there's no Adafruit fabricated product this week because we halted all of our shipments of chips and stuff due to tariff confusion. So instead, we have some other stuff that we didn't get to from previous weeks, including 3 different varieties of Snap-on enclosures. These are used for like some off-the-shelf gadgets, but they're very inexpensive. They're translucent, which I love because you can always put an OLED or TFT or LEDs inside and you can see them. No tools are required to put them together. I'll show them all on the overhead. There's a USB dongle with a little topper case, a 3-piece. And then there's
I'll skip around.
there's this one, which is like, I think this is from like a USB to RS-485 like terminal block adapter. If you've seen low cost ones, it looks very similar. And this one is like for a power monitor or like power inline something. But let me show them on the overhead because they're a little confusing to see. So let's go. Okay, so let me just remove the protective cover.
I'm glad you're removing the plastic.
Well, I wanted to make sure it's clear. So this one, this is a 2-piece and it has like a USB-A port here. Like almost all of them that I picked have just your standard USB-A slot. So it's like, you follow the diagram. USB-A plug here, and then these can be USB-A sockets, but that's what the original design was for, is to have like 2 USB-A sockets here. But you can use them for switches or buttons or like connectors or sensors or whatever. And then you've got this nice big area. You can have a TFT display if you wish. It's plastic, so you can have wireless. You can have a little LoRa module. You can have, readout telling you what your status connection is. And then, this is your little USB dongle. I like these because it's oftentimes, you have these little dongles and you're like, well, wait, I want to also have like a sensor or plug in something or like a STEMMA QT, or you want an antenna sticking out. So this case would let you do that. This is the one that's the USB to RS-485. It's what it's called. It's also a 2-piece. This one's clear. And like the others, it has a, like I said, a USB-A slot here. So your PCB would have A plugged out there. And then it could take up this whole space. And what I like is at the end, you have lots of room. So again, antennas, buttons, terminal blocks, what have you, switches, and then it's clear. You can have LEDs, TFT display, grippy thing for some reason. And then this one, you can go here to this image. So this one is a USB dongle that has, it's kind of like a USB pass-through. But what I like is there's a little button that you can use to activate something. This is the only one that has a button, little nubbin in the center. And if you follow the diagram, you can have the button go over, the little button thing go over the button, and you can activate it for like resetting or changing modes. It has a USB cap. It's also kind of small. This is just it with the top removed. But you know, if you have IR, like that will come through. You can have LEDs to indicate. And then this one I didn't quite get right, this terminal block I have to move. But it, you know, I just followed the diagram for the PCB. So you do have to make your PCB fit because there's nothing, you know, there's no glue or screws. So it's like it press fits in, but if you get it the right size, it won't shift or move once the enclosure is closed. So I just like these. I thought they would be great for, you know, if you don't want to 3D print something, it's a little bit more durable than you know, an inexpensive 3D print, definitely cheaper than injection molding. If you can make your PCB fit, it's a great little enclosure for a low price.
All right, let's keep moving here. We have no start of the show this week. We just have, you know, the stuff that we're putting in, but this is another product.
This is a USB PD selector, and you can see there's a little 7 segment in the middle and a button. You plug this into your USB power delivery wall adapter, you know, your laptop charger, your, you know, phone and iPad and GPS or whatever chargers that you have, especially laptop chargers, because those can usually do 20 volts. And then you can select which voltage you want to appear on the 2.1 millimeter DC output by pressing the button. You can select through them. And here I have a little monitor in the middle there to show, like, as you select each voltage, it'll increment up. Every time you plug it in, it will reset to 5 volts. So it's not like we have ones that are fixed, like every time you plug it in, it'll always be 12 or always be 15. This one does not, but it is kind of nice in that, you know, if you're using it as a general purpose power supply, you can quickly toggle through all the available voltages and try it out. So I thought it's a couple dollars more, but it's, you know, a nice alternative. You know, you get about 2 amps out of this. Again, whatever the power delivery supply can give you, right? If you don't have one that can provide 12 volts, you're not going to get 12 volts. And on the other side, 5.5 millimeter outer diameter, 2.1/2.5 millimeter inner diameter, little springies there, will let you use either 2.1 or 2.5 jacks. So, you know, good way to power something that is expecting a DC voltage and you only have a USB PD power supply.
50 products. Okay, so now don't forget Code Spring. And usually we're doing live questions, but tonight you're watching a recording just a few minutes ago because we had to do kid bedtime things. But we're in the chat answering your questions live. But we get to go to Top Secret first.
Yes.
Right now. So let's do some Top Secret. All right, Top Secret is just like kind of a work in progress. Show you how we're coming up with design ideas and just stuff that we do. So the next Circuit Python is Circuit Python 10.
10.
And we want to do like an arcade theme because Fruit Jam, of course, is part of Circuit Python 10. So, you know, I've done like stuff in the past where it's like, oh, there's a snake wrapping around something and Bruce and I work together. Mm-hmm. We'll do mood boards and we'll do some stuff. But we had this idea where like maybe it's like, because Mac OS 10 was like a big deal, but like maybe we do something like really.
But they kind of like dragged that on now for like 15 years.
Yeah, but like maybe we do something like really interesting and retro, like Qbert just kind of came to mind. By the way, at the end of the show, I'll play a little bit of Qbert. Check this out. You're not going to hear this, the audience well, but this is like an hour and 11 minutes of Qbert.
There's a lot of Qbert.
It just goes on forever.
I remember playing Qbert. I remember I rented the game Qbert for my Nintendo entertainment system from the local Blockbuster.
Find images online.
Qbert.
And we're like, okay, you know, here's the Qbert poster. Super cute.
What I liked is that it didn't have, like, they didn't have a working, like, language system.
Apparently, he's saying, where can a guy get a pair of pants?
Is that what he's saying?
I don't know.
But it's like all scrambled. And so
Yeah.
they're like, okay, well, we're just going to make him all scrambled.
Curses, yeah. And
It's actually kind of like cool. It's like their failure, it was a success.
Yeah, and I like that this is like, a puzzle game and stuff.
So you like the snake is what you're
And
like.
also, it's like, Blinka was, it arrived to us, and it's like, where did this come from? And it's like, well, everything's based on something. I can see that maybe this snuck into like our,
Subconscious?
Our subconscious, but I don't know. I don't think so. Sometimes I talk to people, I'm like, have you ever heard of Qbert? And they're like, what's Qbert? I'm like, anyways.
Wow.
So, there's like the couple directions we could go. We could like do like a sketchy thing. This was like more of like a blocky thing. Bruce is working up some designs that kind of modernize the Qbert look. And then I was like, well, let me take our characters and see what it looks like inside that style with some of these AI tools, because we did a project.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, here's our artwork with this as a style.
It's inspirational. So our designer knows. Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like instead of having them do 10 mock-ups, you do the mock-ups and then.
Yeah, and I feel comfortable doing this with our stuff. It's just like, okay, like this is like Adabot and that's Blinka and it's Smokey the Blue Smoke Monster. And it's like, okay, I was just playing around with ideas and seeing how it looked. And then I was tossing around in Acorn. I don't use Photoshop right now, but I was just like, okay, let me figure out like what this looks like and some ideas. So, anyways, this is a little behind the scenes of what CircuitPython 10
Okay.
might look like, but this is where I've thrown around some pixels, but we like Qbert. Okay, let's get out of top secret and then go to the questions.
Questions.
Alrighty, it's question time, Ladyada. First one, this is from the print for today. What printer do you use?
I think this
Bamboo.
was a bamboo printer that
that's
can do multicolor. They said it took like 17 hours to do the print.
Okay. All right, submit your Ask an Engineer question. This one was on Reddit. I have no idea if it's a good idea or if this question is okay. Would you ever want to merge CircuitPython and MicroPython, unforking it? And this person ports code between the two. What would that be? What would it look like?
I mean,
would there be a reason to?
It's not impossible. A lot of the things that we added in CircuitPython then got later added, like USB device stuff that got added later on. Some of the abstractions that we have backported. The structure of the modules is pretty significant. Also, there is a lot of stuff that CircuitPython does that is like not really adaptable to MicroPython because of the decisions they made. Like they really, like we have this audio and video playback system that kind of runs on its own in the background. And that's how we're able to do stuff like Fruit Jam and games and PyGamer. And MicroPython is kind of not interested in that stuff as much. So, I think...
Which makes sense. Like, I feel like we have mainline Linux, which is our MicroPython, and we're building off of it. There isn't like an either or, by the way. Like, I'm sorry you're bouncing between code on the two.
To be honest, it's not. Look, especially if you're willing to use AI tools, it's quite easy to port between the two these days.
Yeah,
and I do it all the time. I say like, hey, here's some CircuitPython code. I need to run on a MicroPython, and here's the board, and it, I pop it into Claude.
It's significant the
it'll
difference
pop out.
between the CircuitPython goal and MicroPython goal over time too. So you're going to find that we just have different hardware support for different types of educational projects. Or MicroPython is like the core that everyone's basing their like Python on hardware thing off of.
Yeah, but they definitely, for example, they're no longer doing like mass storage. That they pulled away from that. They're like, we want to use LFS. We understand why they made that decision, but it's like they're really strict about that. Like, which is ironic because we originally got the idea from the original Pi board, but they also again forked. Like MicroPython itself has forked.
There's other variants of it, and it's used for lots of things. But I think that you need a healthy open source community where you can decide what you want. It's not just from one source, one vendor, and if you need to have things upstreamed or whatever, like here's the thing, we like doing upstreams to MicroPython.
Yeah, we actually just, I think Scott was just talking about how he made a big improvement to the garbage collector, and he's like, I'm going to, working with MicroPython to upstream it. We have the Blinka compatibility layer that lets you run CircuitPython libraries, many of them, not all of them, on MicroPython. If somebody wants to work on that, we don't have anybody working on it actively. I could always use some more love.
And we donated support MicroPython. So yeah, anything can happen. Like I'll give you an example of like what could possibly come up if either entity abandoned working on, CircuitPython or MicroPython. I think someone would just slurp it up into the other one.
Yeah. Well, to
something.
the extent you can.
To the extent you can,
Yeah.
and just say like, hey, this is what it is. But that's what
We
I'm
do
saying.
we do an upstream merge every time there's a MicroPython release, and there just was one. So we're gonna be doing it in the next couple of months. So we get all of their like the MPY format changes and like the bytecode changes and some of like the core like runtime changes. Obviously, we don't support every port that they support. But we're also like looking towards doing more Zephyr stuff. They are too. That might be a situation where we'll see some more convergence.
Yeah.
We'll see. But it's good. You know what? 2 cakes, right? Better than 1 cake.
Are there custom sizes? That was for the flexible 6-inch OLED display.
No, they really come in only a couple standard sizes.
Okay. Next up, could it be used for a tandem 5 1/4 Apple II Commodore? This is the floppy.
Oh wow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Apple II, yes. Commodore is actually we can actually read Commodore diskettes on a standard 5 1/4. Apple is a slightly different format because it uses like GCR, not whatever it was that Commodore uses. So we actually ended up being able to read Apple II disks, especially if we added an index sensor. But not decoding them. We can just read the raw data and then you feed it into like an emulator or something. So kinda, sorta.
All right, let's now just do some tariff talk. We had a bunch of tariff questions come in, but we have a segment called tariff talk, so we're gonna do that. Let's
terrific.
Let's do a wardrobe change quickly. I'm gonna change into my all black outfit.
It's tariff talk, yeah.
So, okay, it is
Wednesday,
April 23rd. It's probably like 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, when you're watching this.
Okay, what's the latest with tariffs?
Okay,
How much is it going to cost?
So we are getting some shipments went out after the tariffs changed, and we're like, well, we can't, like the shipment was already going out. And so we did get some 145% bills. Luckily, since then, there's the exemptions to the reciprocal tariffs. There's a set of HTS codes, and thankfully, a lot of them do cover electronic components, like TFTs and OLEDs. I think are covered under one, and it's like the categories and like accessories to computers. However, those are not going to get us to zero. Also, by the way, we're out the money until we can get that. Like they were categorized under these exemptions, but then the exemption wasn't in when we got the package. So now we have to like apply for a refund, which like takes months. So we're out quite a bit of money for some of these packages. That's not in the millions, but it's still enough that it's like, this sucks, because Customs and Border is holding on to the money. So we have to go through and do a lot of paperwork there. The exemptions still don't get you to zero. I believe they get you to 25 or 45%, but I'll tell you, I'm not 100% sure because the bills come 2 weeks after the package.
Yeah, we built these
so I don't
auditing
actually
tools.
even know what I'm going to get billed.
Yeah, and we have
after the fact.
We have 2
2
tools
weeks later.
because we have to look at what we're getting charged, and then we have to look at the bills that come in later and see if there's any changes too.
I mean, I think there might be a way for me to try. I might be able to get from logging in directly to Borders and Customs, get the documents directly, but they're like in this annoying PDF format, and I have to it's just terrible. And so we'll see. Books are not being tariffed. We did get some books that were printed in China, I think, and thankfully they were not tariffed. A large number of books you get are printed in China. Almost all technical books are printed there. And let me see. So that happened. DHL is definitely slowing down. We use DHL for a lot of inbound.
They sent out a
packages.
notice. They said if you're business to consumer from Asia, they're holding it. They're not shipping it out.
Right. We're business to business, but there's still delays.
Yeah.
I'm seeing
But
stuff
because of all of that, there's B2B delays.
The B2B delays. So we're gonna get the package, but it's in New York, and it's sitting there for like 4 or 5 business days, which is very unusual because usually they're like, we want this out of here. They're incredibly backlogged. I also know a lot of people who've privately told me that they had something that they ordered. It was shipped after the tariffs, but like, whatever, but before they had time to stop the shipment, and they're actually abandoning the shipment because they're like, I can't pay 145% on these 3D printed parts, plastic.
Yeah, some folks just had some bad luck with
bad luck.
The day, the hour, and it's a little unclear what the Chinese seller shippers are being told when they ship something, and then the seller says, "Well, I'm not," or the buyer says, "The tariffs came, I'm not purchasing it," and
it usually gets destroyed.
It usually gets destroyed. So a little bit of a
but look, they already paid for the goods.
Yeah.
So the factory doesn't care. The factory's like, great. The problem is they're never going to get another order.
Yeah. So
and a couple of vendors actually contacted us and said, like, hey, that you just put an order. Are you going to keep it? Because everyone's canceling the orders. We want to know before we book the parts to manufacture this power supply or whatever. And it's kind of a mess. And then I don't know, maybe it'll change again tomorrow.
So I'd say, what is like the best real-time resource, and the Flexport CEO on X is probably, you have to, by the way.
He's very biased, right?
Well, yeah, sure. But it's like real-time fire hose. Like, here's, the rumor is Trump's going to change it to 45%. So if you're into that type of information that fast, and you want to hurt yourself and just be on the edge all the time, that's a great place to look. But I do like that there's people that are knee deep in this and they're talking about it, because in the maker world, a long time ago, 10 years, the maker companies saw each other, I think, more as competition versus doing stuff together. So there is not as much information sharing. So I think that signal has to come from the top.
I will say I have ordered stuff from some American companies, and the prices have gone up 10%.
Yeah, but no one's really talking about
more
stuff. So I'm hoping
it's unclear. Is it tariff related or is it something?
Why
else?
is it? Yeah, how is it? Why is it? And I think that's one of the things that you just don't have as much anymore. But if you have a platform and leadership position, kind of like we do, we're just going to talk about stuff. So we have some price changes coming, obviously, but we want to make sure we have changed some prices. Super accurate.
Yeah, we have actually changed a couple prices.
Yeah, we want to be able to. Let me just give the biggest business tip right now.
Yeah,
this is it, because we've had to go through New York state sales tax audits, because every part of New York has a different sales tax thing, and we've written tools and we do it perfect. But even with that, you will get a sales tax audit at some point. It's not personal. It just happens. And I'm always excited because I'm like, great, we can check out our tools and stuff like that. And they do a good job of seeing if you're doing everything right. It's pretty clear. But the things that you have to think about now is what tools do we need to keep running a business now with all this stuff going on, like tariffs? Like, what other things do we need to do to get things in? Because you're going to get a tariff audit 5 years from now. So my big point is, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have to do all this work again.
It's very challenging. I mean, it's going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like, we don't put down. Here's the thing with tariff codes. There is no. Other than going to court, there's no way to know exactly what is the best code. You can do best effort. So it's different than sales tax, because sales tax, either the person has a certificate or they don't have the certificate. Either they live within the place that has 8.875 or they live in a place that has 8.25. It's very clear cut. And there is a tool that you can use to look up every address. Whereas with tariff codes, it's like, is it an accessory to a computer, or is it a multimeter? Well, it's a multimeter that connects to a computer. It's like, what is it? It's not, it's fuzzier.
Where are you going to store the records? How are you going to change contracts that have price guarantees? What are the time frames for all of that? There's so many things that go into selling goods that this is what did they say, a seismic shift?
I don't know. I think a lot of people are actually just halting all shipments and they're just waiting it out. I think that's actually what's happening.
Sure.
Most companies are they're not doing anything. I think they just paused all shipments, because I paused a bunch of shipments. Yeah. And said, don't do anything.
It is starting up again. What happens? It does like gum up the works when you turn everything back on. And then there's a bottleneck again.
Yeah, it's going to be like COVID. There's going to be like, this crazy shipping
feast
delay.
And famine.
When everybody stopped shipping and then everyone started shipping again.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll let everybody know soon. Our goal is to have the most accurate tariff information on absolutely everything, and then figure out a way to display it to show people, here's what a USA company, woman-owned, it's paying in tariffs, trying to do the thing that everyone's talking about, manufacturing in the US. I heard that everyone's going to learn robotics in high school now, and then they're going to be mechanics, and they're going to do all sorts of science stuff, and they're going to learn AI and everything. Great, we're here. Everybody's waiting. But, you know.
But they change their mind every 5 minutes.
Stick to it. Okay, so that's our questions.
That's our questions.
And that's the Tariff Talk for this week.
Questions.
That's our show for tonight. Don't forget the code is SPRING. Ladyada, we will see everybody next week. It'll be probably in a more live shape or form. This has been an Adafruit production. I'm going to play out some Qbert, and then I'll do some music. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. Here is your moment of Zener.
Hello, I'm Ladyada. Hello, Ladyada. Oh.